and I've given out cards. So you're going to be coming up with the chocolate milk, but we also brought a ton of chocolate milk for afterwards. Jeff already introduced me. My name is Sheri Hockman. We had 3 of our boys come through this program, and they did a great job under Jeff, and this is my husband, Ron. I teach female self-defense, and I've been doing it for many, many years, but I also speak to young men, because I think a big part of the culture comes back to how our young men treat women. So what I actually titled this speech, which is kind of new for me to do, is Positive Masculinity. So you have to bear with me as far as looking down at my papers. Most of the talks I do, I don't use any papers at all, but this is kind of a new lecture for me to give. So right now, try and come up with an idea of how many females you have in your life. The females, these are the girls that you like, you love, and you can't imagine anything bad ever happening to them. Now imagine everybody in this room is a female. So every male body in here represents a female. Those are the women that you just thought of, somebody that means something to you. Now everyone with a card that has blue written on it, please stand up. Take a look around. This is the 1 in 3 females that is physically assaulted by their partner in their lifetime. Okay? Have a seat. Everyone with orange written on their card, please stand up. If this was a room of females, 1 in 5 females is sexually assaulted in their lifetime. Have a seat. Of that group that you just saw, 50% or less are going to report that to anyone for fear of retaliation and embarrassment. Rape is the most unreported crime in the United States. More than half of rapes consists of drug and alcohol use. Anyone with yellow on their card, please stand. This is how many of the victims were actually able to take their assailants to trial. It's 10% or less. Let's see. Purple, please stand. This was the one victim, or it's the 1 to 3% that were actually able to get their assailant to spend 1 or more days in jail for their crime. Have a seat. So I do that, and I do it pretty much at every one of my self-defense classes, because when you can visually see statistics for a room, it's pretty amazing. 80% of predators are people that we know. For victims, whether you're a male or a female, they're your friends, acquaintances, family, coworkers, they're anybody that you know. 80%. 20% are strangers. So I want to read you a true story, and sometimes it's hard for me to get through, but I think it just kind of touches on how real things can be that happen. One evening, a 15-year-old high school sophomore named Audrey Pott told her parents she was sleeping over a friend's house. But instead, she went to a house party where the parents were away for the weekend. And I know this has to sound really familiar to pretty much everybody in this room. Numerous teenagers were in attendance, and everybody was drinking in excess. Later during that party, Audrey was intoxicated and unresponsive. She was carried upstairs by 3 young men. She had known these guys for years. She was then raped by those 3 young men. She woke up naked with humiliating messages written all over her body. And the next day, she found out the attackers posted and shared pictures of the assault all over social media. And she was devastated. Audrey had been seen earlier that night kissing at least 2 different boys at the party. And she was known for having self-image issues, having developed large breasts at a young age, and had a reputation for not always making the best decisions. But you know what? Audrey still wasn't asking for it. And 8 days later, Audrey killed herself. Okay, so listen. I tell you this story because I know that most males are good-natured. I'm not here to say, oh my gosh, don't run out and rape, and I'm telling you this because I think everybody's bad. That's not why I come here. I come here to empower young men so they can use their God-given courage and confidence to truly be protectors of the house. Because to me, your house is more than the football field. Your house is not only your person, it's your surroundings. It's the people in your life, your friends and your family. It's about realizing that real men don't need to overpower and control others off the field mentally or physically. Real men display patience and are able to treat everybody with respect, even people who don't necessarily deserve it, and display manners even when your frustration might be getting the best of you. Having those traits is having upstanding character. That's having positive masculinity. It's not hyper masculinity, and it's not toxic masculinity. Each of you has the ability to stick up for people who might be at risk and be able to effectively communicate a message that could diffuse what could be a life-changing situation. That was Audrey's situation. And knowing that communication is the exchange of information, you need to know how to listen. Sometimes you do more than speak. Consent should be black and white. It should be cut and dry, yes or no. And it's important you understand what a person wants and doesn't want. Do not assume. So whether you're talking about intimacy or you're talking about, do you want chocolate milk, never under any circumstances try and convince somebody to do something. If you aren't using verbal language and you're just assuming it's okay because they're letting you physically proceed, that isn't necessarily consent. You're taking a chance. And if you're too afraid to ask verbally, you probably shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Answers like, that's fine, I guess so, they're red lights. You probably shouldn't proceed. Use common sense. So I'm gonna have my daughter Eve come on up here, and whoever has the cards numbers 1 through 4 with the question, do you want chocolate milk? I need number 1 to come up, and the others can come over here. 2, 3, and 4 can just line up over here. We're just going to grab a bottle of chocolate milk, and after you ask the question and get your response, you can sit down and take your bottle back. Okay? So number 1.
Do I speak? Do I say
You're going to come on over to Eve and ask your question.
Okay.
Would you like some chocolate milk?
Yes, I do.
Have a seat and stay. That's great. She wants the chocolate milk right now. She doesn't want it tomorrow. She doesn't want it next week. He can't just pop in and say, hey, I brought some more chocolate milk. It's now. The consent is now. Thank you. Go ahead.
Would you like some chocolate milk?
Maybe another time, not right now.
All right, that's cool.
Have a seat. Okay. She may be thinking about wanting chocolate milk, but for whatever reason, she doesn't want it right now. This can be tough for guys. This is where you might try and persuade, or you might be trying to do things without verbal communication. Don't browbeat someone to get your way. Accept the answer. Don't be a bully. And this is where you don't go around sharing on social media what a prude somebody is. Thank you.
Would you like some chocolate milk?
Sure. Oh, wait. I don't want it anymore.
Some people might think they want chocolate milk, but then they change your mind. This might be really frustrating, but that's their decision, and you can never force anybody to finish their chocolate milk. Thank you.
Would you like some chocolate?
Eve has no response. She's too intoxicated. She's too intoxicated to give an appropriate response. So really, that person shouldn't even be asked if they want chocolate milk. You should try and figure out what that person needs to be safe. Thank you. And lastly, there's never a guarantee the person you gave your chocolate milk to isn't going to claim that you forced them. So know your partner well. Try and make rational decisions with a clear mind and communicate effectively with words more than once. Because it's okay to say things like, are you sure you want to do this? Do you like this? Because verbal communication and consent is key. Consent is not set in stone and it can be withdrawn at any point. I have a great group of guy friends I train with all the time. And one of them is a lawyer, and he made a big point to stress that to me. Remember, one really bad decision can ruin your life. So be the protectors of the females around you. They're not your property, but they're your friends and your family. No one should ever be subject to bullying or name calling to their face or behind their back. And how many of you are guilty of this? The females being referred to as skanks, sluts, hoes. They're someone's daughters. They're your sisters, and she's your friend. Some of those females make poor decisions because they need help, not harassment and degrading labels. Many times people mask their pain with irresponsible behavior, so help them and don't add to their torture. Your demeaning words can be toxic. And most importantly, trust your intuition. It's the superpower you didn't know you had. It's like when a dog sees something that makes them uneasy, they immediately react. But for whatever reason, when we see something that makes us uncomfortable, we talk ourselves out of it and we ignore it. Listen to your inner voice. If you sense someone has bad intentions, they probably do. Just think, if that one person had acted on their instincts at that party, maybe Audrey would still be alive. I know the good guys far outnumber the bad, so be part of the solution instead of contributing to an escalating problem. Because the Brock Turners of society are a dime a dozen. And despite the judicial sentence being minimal, the public outrage will last a lifetime. Positive masculinity. I believe in it. I am that 1 in 5, and I do this to prevent others from becoming that next statistic. Now I hope you guys do the same. Thank you for listening. I do something called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's not karate, it's not just wrestling, it is kind of a ground fighting system, and I've done it forever. I'm like 100 years old. But I'm one of the few females that does it. And I train at a place and we're offering something, low price, whatever. So I have a flyer if anybody's interested, and I also have my own website card. I do most of my seminars at absolutely no cost. So if you have any sisters, mothers, anybody that's interested in any kind of training, whether you're male or female, I have something up here for everybody, if anybody's interested. And if you're not, that's great too. I just appreciate you listening. I hope you take something from it.